everybody. Mr. McCarty's going to do all the battles, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the political and social and legal issues around the Civil War. And I want to talk today about this concept of secession. So we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of different things. First of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the legal justification and political philosophy that justified legally, in the mind of the Southerners, secession as an act that they could legally do. And then second of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the causes of the Civil War in terms of what was immediately impelling these southern states to secede. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Civil War and secession. So first of all, let's talk some political philosophy. So two theories. The first one is contract theory. And the contract theory suggests that the Constitution derives its authority from the people, that the Constitution was created and ratified by the people of the entire country. Right? This is a concept known as popular sovereignty. The authority of the Constitution derives from the people. That is contract theory. And that's the theory that the North is going to adhere to. And they're going to suggest that you cannot leave the Union, that the Union is perpetual. Once you join the Union, you are in the Union because the Constitution was created by the people, not the individual states. The Supreme Court of the United States will repeatedly uphold that interpretation. And in opinion after opinion, in the early part of the Republic, in the late 1700s, early 1800s, the Supreme Court again will say over and over again that it is not a compact among the states, but it is a contract to the Constitution that was created by all of the people. All right, so some case names, in Chisholm versus Georgia in 1793, Martin versus Hunter's Lessee and in 1816, and McCulloch versus Maryland in 1819. In each one of those cases, the Supreme Court reiterated that the United States Constitution was a contract between the people writ large and the government. And so this idea of popular sovereignty was the legally accepted explanation. But it's not the only explanation that was out there. The compact theory had been kicking around for a bunch of years as well. You may remember Thomas Jefferson writing a resolution called the Kentucky Resolution. And in that Kentucky Resolution, where Jefferson was arguing against the Alien and Sedition Acts, don't worry about that. But do know that what Jefferson was arguing was that the Constitution was a compact. It was an agreement among the states, that the states were really independent and had formed the country through a constitution that was a compact or agreement among the individual states. It wasn't the people that created the Constitution, it was the states that created the Constitution, according to Jefferson and compact theory. So the compact theory was what became the legal basis for secession, that the southern states said, we voluntarily joined the Union, we can voluntarily leave the Union as well. All right, so those are the two theories, the two political philosophies that were competing at the time. Like I said, the Supreme Court had roundly rejected compact theory and accepted contract theory, but a lot of the Southern leaders had continued to advance compact theory. So let's talk about a quick chronology of secession. So you should have read a little bit about this. But the states didn't all secede at once. This wasn't a unified plan. Remember, they're leaving one at a time because they believe that they have the right as states to leave the Union. So Lincoln's election is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for the southern states. If you remember the context, this is already a pretty heated time. By the election of 1860, we've got a new Republican Party that has made it part of their platform to oppose the expansion of slavery into the territories. We have Dred Scott versus Sanford has basically undone all of the other compromises. Prior to that, Kansas, Nebraska, we have Bleeding Kansas, right? All of those things are happening. It's pretty clear that we are on the brink of disunion. So Lincoln gets elected in 1860, and there's this lag period that we all know about between the election date and then the date that votes are certified by the states and passed on and electors appointed, and eventually electors will cast their votes, and that's when the president officially becomes the president of the United States. Well, actually becomes president of the United States on Inauguration Day, takes the oath of office, but legally the votes are finally cast by the Electoral College in December, right? And we are waiting for that date to come. It is the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December. So Lincoln had won election. The southern states thought this was definitely the beginning of the end for slavery, and secession talk is happening. James Buchanan is largely ignoring it as President of the United States. Remember, he continues to be President of the United States. On December 16th, the Electoral College votes. On December 17th, South Carolina starts their convention to consider secession. By December 20th, South Carolina has become the first state to secede from the Union. They unanimously vote to secede from the Union. And then we'll have this progression of states that secedes from the Union, with ultimately North Carolina seceding in May of 1861 as the last state to secede and join the Confederate States of America. So before Lincoln even gets sworn in as President of the United States, 7 states have seceded. Jefferson Davis is elected the provisional president of the Confederacy. They will adopt a provisional constitution, and they're really rolling on their way towards war. Right? So after the Civil War, the Southerners are going to argue that really they had seceded in the interest of states' rights. And even today, you hear that argument from time to time. Historians obviously have concluded that slavery was the overriding cause, the immediate cause. And they do that because that's what the Southerners at the time said in 1860 and 1861. So I want to just give you some excerpts from a speech given by the Vice President of the Confederacy, a guy by the name of Alexander Stephens. In a famous speech called the Cornerstone Speech, he said, "The new Confederate Constitution has put at rest forever all the agitating questions relating to our peculiar institutions, African slavery as it exists among us, the proper status of the Negro in our form of civilization. This was the immediate cause of the late rupture and present revolution. Jefferson, in his forecast, had anticipated this as the rock upon which the old Union would split. He was right. What was conjecture to him is now a realized fact." Right? So it's pretty clear. Alexander Stephens is saying in 1860, 1861, with the start of this Confederacy, slavery broke the Union. Slavery broke the Union. Right? Also, there's this challenge to this idea that white supremacy was the driving ideology of the South. Let me turn again to the Vice President of the Confederacy. In that same speech, the Cornerstone Speech, this is another quote from Alexander Stephens. And he's talking about the foundation, the philosophical foundation that will underpin the Confederacy. He said, "It's based on the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior race, is his natural and normal condition." So the ideology of white supremacy, the desire to protect slavery, those are what we would call the immediate or proximate causes of the Civil War. Obviously, there's a lot of tension between North and South. There's a lot of other contextual issues that we've been talking about over time, but it was clear to the leaders of the South, clear to the leaders of the North, that slavery is what broke the Union. Okay? All right, so next lecture, we're going to talk a little bit about some legal issues. Lincoln is going to kind of overstep his bounds and his authority as President of the Union. So we'll talk about some constitutional law and Supreme Court decision.